Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Consistent Creators. I'm your host Darshan. This is the show where I sit down with inspiring creators who have been creating consistently on the internet. Today's guest is Rachel Howe. I've followed Rachel's journey on the internet for quite some time now. I vaguely remember seeing on Twitter when Rachel had started her journey. I think she was very new to design and also to the world of online content creation. But since that time, I've seen Rachel progress through the ranks, and she has obviously gotten a lot better as a designer, and then also building her online persona. Now she's doing freelancing, Webflow. She's a Webflow expert. She creates videos on the internet. She creates a lot of online products. There are so many things that Rachel does now that I've lost count of it. And I'm so excited to be talking to Rachel today. It's always amazing when you get to talk to these people whose journey you have followed on the internet for some time. So welcome aboard, Rachel, and thanks a lot for taking the time.
Hi, Darshan. Thanks for having me. I'm really humbled to be on this podcast. And I've also followed your journey for quite some time, even when I was starting as a junior designer. I can introduce myself as well, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Please go ahead.
I'm Rachel Howe. I am a product designer by craft, but on the side, I do like multiple different things. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is I have a YouTube channel where I talk about design and solopreneurship and basically sharing how I build multiple income streams on the side as a designer. I also freelance for my clients, and I also freelance on Webflow development. Basically, it's building websites for my clients and a couple of different things, but they're all tied together in the same ecosystem, meaning within design, content creation.
So now you're doing Webflow, freelancing, YouTube, and you're also sometimes creating online products. How are you splitting up your time? Like on a given day, what exactly are you doing?
This is really tough because initially I thought that I could do 10 different things in a day, but I realized there's too much context switching. So in order to reduce context switching and, get in the zone quicker, I try to keep 2 to 3 things maximum in a day. So if today I wake up and I see that my energy is driven towards content creation and maybe working on some freelance at night, then that's what I'm going to do for that day. But if tomorrow I wake up and I feel like, I have an urgent deadline coming up, I would do that first, because sometimes deadlines kind of push me to do things faster and kind of make me become a little bit more creative than I usually am because of those time constraints. And then I would usually mix in some little things like maybe improving myself or learning how to code on the side. So every day I pair like 2 to 3 things and I call it a day after that.
Wow. And how do you manage your freelance pipeline? I would want to get a little bit of understanding of how you are dealing with freelance work, because with the content creation that you're doing, I imagine that you have a lot of control over how you do things and when you do things and what you do, because that's basically your decision. But with freelance work, this is where you're working with clients. There might be a certain deadline, and also the nature of the project changes quite dramatically from a project to project. How do you manage your freelance pipeline? And do you have times where you entirely focus on freelance and do not focus on content creation? How is that balance?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there are definitely times where I am not able to do content creation. So content creation is not a thing that I do every single day. I would love to, but it tends to get boring somehow if I just do one thing every day. So I'm someone that gets bored easily. And if I just do freelance every day, I get bored as well. So I try to mix in a little bit every day with different combinations and just follow where my energy leads me to. But I would say that 70% of my time is on freelance work because that's my bread and butter, right? And let's say the remaining 30% will be split between content creation and the various other things that I do.
Right. And how is your revenue split? So I've seen that you have made some of the videos on the income that you have generated, and you're spending about 70% of your time on freelance projects. How does your revenue split look like across these projects?
Yes, let me open up my pie chart so that I can get like a more accurate representation. So I've shared the revenue split, the pie chart on my channel as well. And just for the sake of consistency, I'll just share the same pie chart. So last year, my revenue split is 53% is on freelance work, which means design and development for my clients. And I also had a full-time job back then, which I quit halfway through. So that is my 10% of my income, which is my salary, right? And the remaining is YouTube AdSense, which is the money that I earn from people watching ads on my YouTube channel, right? So that's 12% of my total income. And another 12% of my total income is on brand sponsorships. So this is how like Notion and Milanote and all these brands come to me and they want a dedicated video on my channel or a 60-second ad between my videos. So that's how I kind of make my income as well. And it's 12% because I limited the amount of brand deals that I take every month, basically. And I didn't want my channel to be too promotion-y and hard sell. So I limited those, even though there's a lot of earning potential there. And the remaining 5% is through donations, which is products, digital products that I sell on my digital store, which is shop.rachelhow.com, right? And these are things that I don't charge money for. That's why I call them donations. So like when someone downloads something that I create on Gumroad, they can choose whether they want to pay $0 or any amount they want. So sometimes I come across someone, kind human being that pays me $100. Some pays me 99 cents. You know, it's different every day. It fluctuates. And there's another 3% is on paid digital products. So contrary to those donations, there are some products that I charge money for. And some are like $3, some are like $5. So those are the 3%. It contributes to 3% of my total income. And there is in affiliate income, which is affiliate income takes up 1.7% of my total income. And that is things like when I promote Webflow, when I promote Milanote or whatever brand that, you know, I actually use every day. And when people use those products and they sign up using my affiliate link, they don't have to pay more, but I get a cut from that. So like a commission basically. And that's all of that. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of diversifying your income streams. There is this concept of portfolio of small bets by Daniel Vassallo. So he has coined this term and he does a lot of content creation around that. But the idea at its core is about diversifying your income stream. And that is amazing, especially in today's day and age where there are layoffs happening all the time and you never know what is a safe choice and if you can really count on something. So being able to diversify your income streams through the skills that you have earned, I think that's always like a great approach. So I'm glad that it's working out for you. You have like a fair bit of split between the design work that you do for freelance clients and then the other work that you do, which is creating content online, affiliate, sponsorships and products, so many things. Do you think at some point you would want to stop taking the freelance work and just focus fully on the online work that you're creating? Or is that something that you're not interested in?
Right. I'm not interested in that right now because I felt that if I don't put myself in like freelancing and actually doing design work every single day, I was afraid that I would kind of lost touch with my craft. And I think freelancing challenges me to do things and understand what other people are facing. And in order to, you know, create content that resonates with people that are relatable in today's time, it's important that I put myself in that position as well. So what I see is that I would want to increase the income for, you know, paid digital products because that's sort of like a passive income where you build once and then you sell multiple times. I would like to increase, you know, brand sponsorships and the YouTube AdSense aspect, but I don't see myself foregoing freelance for good. So I think that still keeps me alive and happy right now.
Yeah, I can strongly resonate with that. I have the same thing that when I create resources around design or I teach people things about design, I think that it's also important for me to be a practicing designer. Otherwise, I would lose touch, and maybe then the things that I'm teaching would not be relevant anymore. So there's always that. And I think it also keeps you fresh. It keeps you energized. So I don't see a problem in that approach. But a lot of people on Twitter, they would always recommend you to go all in on something,
Yeah.
which I don't think is a good approach here. So I'm glad that you also have a similar approach.
I also think that going all in means putting your eggs in one basket, and that's the opposite of what Daniel Vassallo kind of teaches as well.
Yeah, exactly. He would be so proud to hear this. You're creating a lot of videos on different topics. I think you're focused quite a lot on productivity, and it's also nice that a lot of times you're sharing behind the scenes of your project. I'm wondering, how do you pick on those topics? How do you decide what topics that you should make videos on? Because you're doing so many things, I'm sure that naturally you would have a lot of things that you would want to talk about. And there are also people asking you to create content on a certain niche. How are you deciding what to create your videos on?
Yeah, I think I'm still struggling to have a prioritization framework, so to speak, that works for me right now. But what I see is that I usually have a list of ideas, right? I split those into like ideas from my brain and ideas from the audience that I have. So if I ask my audience what are the pain points that they are facing right now, what challenges that they want to, they're facing and want to improve on, then I would write those ideas there. And there are also ideas from people who submit content requests on my website or on YouTube comments. So I keep everything documented in one place. And whenever I'm ready to create content, because I don't have all the time to create content every day. So content creation is still kind of like a part-time thing for me right now, even though I have quit my job. Let's say today I want to create a video, right? I would just open that document again and go through the list of ideas. And if any of those ideas excite me, I will just hop onto it and just do it. But if, let's say, that day I'm just not feeling it, like none of those hundreds of ideas stick with me or make me excited right now, I would go looking for ideas, like new ideas and fresh ideas. And the reason for doing this is I am someone who needs to be excited at what I'm working on in order to do something. So if I'm overly systematic, overly, so to speak, like robotic about my ideation process and how I prioritize ideas, then I will get bored. So in order to not get bored, I need to pick the content ideas that I'm really excited on right now and do it, right? Because when you're really excited in something, it's faster and simpler to create that content. Everything becomes less effort. It becomes more natural. You're excited. And when you're recording yourself speaking on camera, people can feel that excitement and energy that's coming from you. So I wanted to embrace that feeling. So every time, that's kind of what I do right now. And I'm not saying that this is the best, framework to prioritize my ideas, but at least it's what makes me driven to make the content that I'm making right now. Hope that makes sense.
Do you only pick the ideas that you personally feel a lot excited about, or sometimes, you would also get a request? It would be like a recurring request to create a video on a certain topic, which you can add value to and which that you can create some nice content on, but maybe that's not something that personally excites you at the moment. Do you sometimes prioritize those kind of most like widely requested topics, or you only focus on what gives you energy or what makes you excited at that time?
I would say 50-50. So one exciting video, one highly requested video that solves people's problems, and I'll just mix those two.
All right. I think that the balance is good. Can you walk us through your process of how do you actually go about creating a video? Let's try to talk through an example. You can pick any of the videos that you might have done recently, so it's fresh in your memory. Can you tell me how that idea came to be, and how did the process look like from from conceptualizing that video, filming that video, and then putting it out there?
Yes, sure. My process for creating content is pretty standard. So I have been doing it since. So just before recording this podcast, I just did film one video, and the process goes like this. So I have asked my audience about what pain points they're facing, and then I realized that, imposter syndrome is a problem that we all face, and it's really pressing. Like, it stops people from reaching their full potential because they feel like they're a fraud. So taking that as an example, I would think that, okay, how can I make this topic different and unique to my perspective? So I'm not going to go watch a video about imposter syndrome or read whatever that's out there. So I'm just going to focus on what I think about that topic first and what I want to say to people. And if I have a direction of what I want this video to become, okay, I want this video to be positive. I want people to walk away this video feeling like imposter syndrome is not a problem. It can be, their strength, right? Then I'll think, okay, let's talk about the title. What kind of title would resonate with the people right now, and pair it with a little bit of keyword research. So juggling between a human nice title and keyword research, which means what are people searching for right now, and try to find a title that is short, simple, but also powerful so that people would click on it, right? And this process could take around a day or two. And once I have the title ready, I would then work on the thumbnail. So the thumbnail, I would open Figma and start drafting the thumbnail. And I would have 5 to 6 options. I would see, okay, what's the thumbnail that's working for me right now? And sometimes I would even just turn on ChatGPT and, ask ChatGPT okay, how would you improve this title and thumbnail, and describe to me how would you do this thumbnail if it was based on this title. So I would just do whatever I can to find different options for a thumbnail and get a better idea. And once I have the title and thumbnail, that's when I start writing content. Because if I do it the other way around, script first and title and thumbnail later, I find myself in a limbo where I'm wondering whether am I under delivering what I'm promising in a title thumbnail, or is it even relevant? So I flip the process over. So title, thumbnail, and then script. So during the scripting process, I would start writing bullet points about how I envision the script to be, so that I see a general structure of the entire video. And once I have that ready, I will start digging into the details, the first 30 seconds or the first minute, what I should do to keep people watching. Because the goal of doing a YouTube video is to really keep people watching. And if people watch till the end, they get the whole message, and then your job is done, right? So I just want to focus on making the video as interesting as possible in the script. And once I'm done with the script, which could take a whole day, just 5-6 hours, not doing anything else, just scripting, just cutting away chunks that are boring and don't make sense, right? And keep having the viewer's interest in mind, okay, is this boring? Is this going to make them drop off? Is this overwhelming for them? So keeping that in mind, and as the goal to guide my script writing. Once I have the script done, and basically I will be really chill at this point, because then I can, film my videos. So I would have my gear set up, which takes about 20 minutes. Still working on shortening the time of the gear setup process. So I would set up the gear, I would start filming. And when I start filming, I would usually turn off the fan, turn off the aircon and everything. And it's really hot in Malaysia. So I would sweat around and stuff. So anyway, once I've done filming the video, I would start filming the thumbnail photo, which would be based on my ideas on Figma, right? And it's good to have multiple ideas on Figma for a thumbnail so that you have options, because sometimes the thumbnail idea that you have end up being very different from what it is in the end, right? And after that, I will just edit the video and publish it. So when I publish it, there are some things that I would do also. I have a checklist going on where I would have to check off some places where I distribute my content. So for example, Instagram story, YouTube post, blog post, a Twitter thread, LinkedIn, and also to share it on my newsletter. So if that video comes with a digital product, like a Notion template or something like that, then there is also a checklist for that. So like, okay, I have to publish my Gumroad page, I have to get my Notion template ready, things like that. It's a lot of mini tedious processes in order for a video to be live. Yeah.
Hearing you describe that, it definitely feels a lot of work. Do you have any people helping you out in this whole process, or it's just you doing everything all the time?
Currently, I'm doing most of the work myself. I have ChatGPT's help to brainstorm ideas and, tighten up and check my grammar in my scripts. And occasionally, I have my dad helping with the video editing. I just started with this collaboration recently, and we are still trying out a few different ways of collaboration. So I would probably do 50% of the editing first and pass it to my dad to add in, spice it up.
So dad is a professional video editor?
No, he used to edit videos for his clients, but he does many things as well. So pretty similar.
Oh, that's amazing. It's so wonderful that you have got your family involved in this and they can actually help out. Actually, very recently, I started taking help of my sister to edit some of the videos that I'm creating. So right now, it's the only podcast that I'm doing. It's like a video recording. So I personally do the main editing with Descript because it's text-based and I'm very comfortable with that. But after that video is done, I actually hand it over to my sister, and she's Gen Z. So I think editing videos comes naturally to her and making this, catchy and viral content. So she's been helping me out in chopping that videos into smaller bits and pieces. And I now actually have a whole catalog of videos, I think about 12 or 15 videos ready now. So I was just waiting to get back to Berlin and get to my original cadence so I can start publishing them slowly. But I'll slowly start them, and maybe I'll ask you for feedback. I'll ask you how my sister has done on those videos.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing them.
You mentioned in this entire process of creating videos, there's one part of that process which I'm very nervous about. So I've done a fair bit of public speaking, and I've also been on a lot of podcasts. So that kind of speaking is mostly you're talking with another person or you're talking to an audience. So you get some sort of feedback, and I find that very comfortable. Over the period of time, I've gotten very comfortable with that. But recently, I was doing like a short video recording for Femke. Femke is doing a course on product strategy, and I was submitting a video as someone who has built a design team and could answer some of the questions on the culture. This was, I think, the first time that I was talking to the camera directly. I thought it's just going to be very easy. I'll turn on the camera, I'll be myself, and the video is done. And I even said that in the beginning of the video that, look at me nailing this. I'm going to complete this video in just one take. I think it took me like 15 or 16 takes just to film that small video because I was just not comfortable talking to the camera. I was not getting any feedback, right? Is this something that comes naturally to you? Have you always been comfortable with this, or do you have any tips and tricks of how to overcome that nervousness or that shyness of talking to the camera?
Definitely, this is not easy to me. It always sounds better in your head, right? Like when you're practicing with the script, you're like, oh yes, I can do this. But when the camera turns on and you're supposed to deliver, you'll be like, you keep repeating your script and then you keep doing it again and again, and then the sun goes down and you lose sunlight already, and hours go by. But basically what I do is I practice a lot. As you can see, like 40 videos on the channel. Every video takes like 1 hour of filming time. So that would be like 40 hours of work put in. But it gets better if you practice. And some useful tools that actually helped me was a teleprompter. So what I do is I try to script my video as precise as I want it to be. Although scripting word for word might not be the best solution here. But if I want to deliver my storytelling on point, right, I need the script in front of me so that I can focus on like my expression, my voice, my tone, and how I deliver the content, right? So teleprompter does help how I deliver my speech. That's the main thing that helped me.
Yeah.
And also like just practicing a lot.
But how strict are you with the script or with the teleprompter? So do you always just stick to what you have written and you just try to say that out on the video, or you try to be a little natural and improvise as you go?
Yeah, I try to be natural and improvise a little bit, but it doesn't work for me because when I'm filming a video, there's a lot of things going through my mind. Like, is the mic recording? Is camera still recording? Is the lighting too bright? And at what point in time would there be noise in the neighborhood? So there's a lot of things that go through my mind where I can't really focus on the content and the script itself. So I script word for word, and I noticed that this makes the filming process faster. And because if I film on point, so if my filming process is on point, I would spend less time editing the script part. So then my talking head videos would be smoother, and basically that's how I go about it right now. But if you are able to deliver your script in a more natural way where you can just talk a lot with just bullet points, that would speed up your content creation process a lot more.
Yeah, I think I'd be more comfortable with that. So when I try to practice, I usually just sometimes say it out loud, whatever I have in the mind. But then I always try to treat it as an outline, because, the thing is, if you've written something out and now you want to say that exact thing, sometimes you get in the process where you know that you have practiced something and now you want to deliver the same thing. But if you miss some bits of it and if you mess up, it's very easy to lose track, because now your mind is trying to remember the things that you had practiced, because you want to say the same things now and you know that you have practiced something. So your mind is going to be more focused on doing that rather than speaking out what comes to your mind at that point. I think it's just a different approach, but what has worked with me when I sometimes deliver talks is that creating an outline, which is like bullet points, and then trying to spitball it while I'm talking live. Maybe I might have had those conversations already when talking to friends or in some different contexts. So the things that I'm saying might not be new completely, but it's still something that comes at that point of time. So I think that makes it a little bit easier for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think as a content creator, whoever needs to record content, right? I think it's important that we try both ways first and then determine what has more pros than cons in the long run. So scripting word for word is limiting in a way, but there are also like good parts that come with it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Rachel, how many subscribers do you have on YouTube now? I don't want to speak out the wrong number, which is why it's better to just ask you.
Looking at my dashboard right now, it's 156787.
Okay, so you already crossed 100K, right?
Yes, now it's 156K.
Yes. So what I want to ask is, has your life changed in a significant way after you started YouTube and you became sort of popular on YouTube? How has life changed after that?
Definitely my life has changed. 3 months in, actually, when I hit 10K subscribers, that's when things started to get like viral and people started knowing who I am and hearing good things from people. It has its challenges as well, and also the good parts that come with it. So the good part is that I feel more confident with my skill set, because then, I have validation that what I'm doing is helping people and every video resonates with someone. So then I started getting more and more confident with myself, right, and my skill set. But then I had this challenge where I felt burnout because I had to create content every week. And if my content is not better than the previous video, I would feel a little bit down. And another challenge that I'm facing right now is also the challenge of living up to people's expectations, because people tend to expect something from you when you constantly deliver something that to them it's good, right? So then I felt a little bit burnout and demotivated somehow because I kept judging my own ideas. And right now what I'm trying to do is not to judge my ideas, to try and believe in my content a little bit more and try to have fun doing it. So my life has changed in a way that people know me for a YouTuber, for being a designer and someone who has multiple income streams and build different things on the side, and advocate for not putting everything into your full-time job, to always have side projects as a backup plan, and also to find things that you like doing, right? Now, the challenge is then, how do I continue to deliver value, and how do I go one step above and be more creative, to be out of my comfort zone a little bit more, and the things like that.
So you mentioned that you get burnt out, especially because of the expectations that people have on you, or you yourself have on you. What have you done in the past when you were burnt out like this? Maybe because of creating a lot of content, or feeling that you're not good enough. What do you do when that happens?
Honestly, I just take a break, like 2 weeks break, 3 weeks break, however long I need it. And during that break, I would go back to doing things that I find fun. Like, it could be redesigning a project, it could be redesigning my website, watching Netflix, or just doing things, reading books or whatever. Just focusing on myself, being a little bit more offline, and try to go back and find that passion that drives me to do my first video in the first place. And I think burnout takes time to heal. It's not like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to recover from burnout and bounce back again, right? So even right now, I just keep doing things that I like. Talking to people helps, like being on this podcast and talking to you does help me frame my thoughts and manage my negative emotions better. So doing all these things keeps me more grounded and more rooted into how I'm feeling, and to know that whatever I'm feeling about not being good enough, about my content not excelling people's expectations and things like that, it helps me forget those things and focus on the real problem that I'm trying to solve here, is to continue to push myself to release the next video and make to make every new video better than the previous one. That's the only thing I need to focus on. Like 1% better, 1% better, and 1% better.
Yeah, it's amazing how breaks can always help you with so many things, right? I always think that taking a break is like the human equivalent of turning it off and on again. You turn off your system, you turn it on after some time, and a lot of problems, they just disappear. Maybe not for good, but they at least disappear for the time being. Amazing.
It's like a reset button.
Yeah. Rachel, you have been creating content very consistently now. The people that know me a little bit, they know that I'm a huge proponent of consistency. And I just want to understand, how are you staying consistent? How are you creating videos after videos, and also the quality is not going down? So you're not just being consistent with the quantity, but you're also keeping up that quality. How is that happening?
Currently, I try to keep my workload at a balance point. So I try to balance everything and realistically take on only what I can chew on. Basically, don't bite off more than I can chew, because that helps with me feeling less overwhelmed. And if I'm less overwhelmed, I have space, and I have the headspace to think about the fun stuff. I have the space to be more creative and happier and enjoy what I'm doing. So by keeping my workload at a balance point, it allows me to still have time to work on my design projects, to read, to improve myself in other ways, but still create content. And I find that streamlining your content creation process helps. So if you find yourself like spending 1 hour setting up your gear, then maybe figure out a way to have your gear set up as quickly as you can, so that you don't have to repeat this process again and again. And always have a place where you can store content ideas, and try to not overthink. This is something that I struggle with a lot. When you don't overthink with your content, you tend to be able to push them out easier. So that's pretty much how I stay consistent, and I don't follow a strict content publishing schedule like some YouTubers do, 1 video a week, things like that. But I realized that limiting myself to this schedule makes me even more pressured. So what I try to do is just one good video a month or 2 good videos a month, and try to keep that momentum going. Because when you have the momentum going, it's easier for you to do other things like, making shorter form videos or publishing blog posts or whatever.
Yeah, momentum is a great thing to stay consistent and to also find that motivation to work on side projects. And just like a motto, right? Think less and create more.
Yes.
Amazing. And do you have a certain North Star or a vision that you're going for? What does your ideal life look like? Do you plan to continue working on these videos and doing freelance for as long as you can? Or is there a path that you're trying to follow here?
I think I would love to still have whatever I'm doing right now, but to get paid more on all aspects. So I still love doing videos. I love selling digital products on my store. I love creating YouTube videos. But the challenge here is I want to figure out how to be able to earn more while doing the same things, but not working more. So that's my ideal life, and be able to take a few vacations a couple times a year. And I think that's the best thing, because I don't want to stop working. I don't want to retire for good. I want to continue to do what I'm doing right now.
How do you think you would get to that path where you get paid more for the things that you're doing right now? Is it something that you're planning to do differently, or would it happen through the course of just doing it and maybe getting more subscribers, more audience, and then more brands reaching out to you? Just trying to understand, have you thought about how you're going to get there?
Yes, definitely. If I continue to do the same things that I do today, it is unlikely that I will get where I want to go, because I'm just repeating what has been working for me. And the reality is, at every stage of your content creation career or whatever, the way for you to get to the next level is always different, right? The way for you to scale is slightly different from how you were to scale from 0 to 10,000 subscribers. So what I'm trying to work on right now is to build an audience that is more specific and stronger niche, basically, not to appeal to every single person in the world, but to appeal to designers who wants to have a side hustle and eventually stop relying on their 9 to 5. So that's where I'm trying to focus on right now. And to make my videos better, the only way for you to have audiences that keeps coming back to your content is to get better at your content. And for example, I'm never going to be as good as Mr. Beast right now. So that gives me a direction that, okay, how do I improve my storytelling? How do I improve my retention, the numbers? How do I make my content so good that people share it, watch it? And how do I consistently deliver great value? So that's the challenge that I'm facing right now. But definitely the way that I'm doing now is to improve on whatever I have, and hopefully I'll get there sooner.
Right. And what are the challenges that you're facing right now to get there?
I think sometimes being someone who has many things going on, you tend to get distracted. Like suddenly a freelance client comes in and then you get pulled in different directions. Then you are not focusing on your content creation. So maybe I could put in 24 hours into my content, but because of different things that I'm doing, I would put in less time to do that. And then I could hire someone to do it, but then the income on YouTube is not able to cover the expenses of hiring someone. So that's the point where I'm still kind of figuring it out right now. And I'm also trying to figure out how do I make better videos, like videos that keep people watching until the end. This is my challenge.
You mentioned that you're focusing now on creating this specific or a niche audience, which is designers who want to work on side projects or designers who want to create different streams of income, essentially taking small bets into different things, diversifying. Do you have any advice that you would give to them? Say I'm a designer who's been following your content and maybe thinking about working on side projects or thinking about diversifying my streams of income. What should I do now?
I think the key thing is to get started. start with one thing and try not to put too much hope into one thing, because it's likely that the first few things that you start is going to fail. Right? I didn't just start my first project as a YouTube channel and then just grow like that. I started many different things and then they failed, right? And believe that this is not your first and only project. You are going to start a couple more side projects, and one of them is probably going to make it. But the thing is, you won't know what's going to happen. You won't know which side project is going to make it. So I would bet on multiple side projects, do multiple things that excite you, gives you energy, and also solves a problem and meets the market demand. And when you feel the pull from the market, that's when you know that something's gaining traction. And I also believe that if you do want to start a side project, I believe that you have some entrepreneurial traits inside you. And as an entrepreneur, you don't just learn one thing. You learn marketing, you learn copywriting, you learn design, you learn video creation, you learn just whatever that it takes you to get from A to B. So it's fun, it's exciting. Embrace those little skills that you learn along the way, because you won't know whatever skill that you learn today is going to contribute to a bigger thing in the future. An example is that if I didn't start tinkering with web design or graphic design when I was younger, I think I wouldn't have taken those experiences into my design job. And all these past skills that you accumulate is going to give you an upper hand. It gives you leverage to something bigger. And when that something lands, when timing is right, and the side project starts gaining traction, that's when your skills will be able to propel you into a better direction. So I think all in all, to summarize, is just that start your first project. Don't think that it's going to work out, but trust that your future projects are going to work out. And just keep doing that, keep learning, keep building on top of it. And I believe that eventually one project is going to make it.
Yeah, there's great value in experimentation. It's a very common thing that you would notice in a lot of creators or entrepreneurs who are successful now, is that they probably had a lot of failed projects in the past, and then some of them really ticked off for them. In your case, looking back, can you really point out to something that worked out or that changed your life? Because I think you were experimenting, you were working on web design projects, maybe taking some freelance work. You started doing YouTube, and at some point, your YouTube took off. Can you point to that one moment or something that changed because of which you had success on YouTube?
I think it's a combination of many moments for me. So it's a combination of how my design career started picking up. Like, I got better at my job and I was more confident in my skills, that enabled me to have the confidence to start a channel talking about design. And there's also little moments like, it was also the pandemic where I was bored at home and I had the urge to do something different. But the key here is, it wasn't little moments. It was more like I wasn't overthinking what I was doing. I didn't set off a goal like, I want to be big on YouTube. I just wanted to share my story. So when I'm not overthinking, I just pick up a camera and just, get things up and just start filming my first few videos. Contrary to what I believed, is that when I don't overthink, things started picking up. But when I overthink things and a plan and, put in everything into that project, it just doesn't pick up. So it's really random, I believe. And there's really no formula or hack to make a side project grow, basically.
Yeah. Overthinking is a huge enemy of really getting anything done. I know a lot of people who tend to overthink a lot. When this happens to you, when you are overthinking about something, do you have a certain way of how you overcome that, or this just never happens? You just do what you feel like and you don't overthink?
I overthink all the time.
Well, then how do you get over it? Because naturally, you're getting over it and you're getting a lot of shit done. So how are you overcoming it?
My little way of overcoming overthinking is to do multiple things at one time. So some people would say that, oh, you're not being focused in one project, But what works for me is that when I have all the time in the world to do one thing, I overthink it. But if I have limited time, for example, okay, I have a full-time job and I only have 6 to 9 p.m. to film my video and I need to get it out as soon as possible, I have no time to overthink, And when I need to work on another side project that is also tied to a time constraint, my only focus is to get it done. So what I'm trying to say is also done is better than perfect. Every time when you do something, just make sure that it's 1% better than the previous one. And set a fake deadline for yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to make a video in 3 days, right? Because 3 days, no matter how the video turns out, you're going to get it done. And then every time you do that to yourself and repeat these fake deadlines, you're getting things done and then you're learning how to get it done faster and better at the same time. And that's the only way that I know of to improve on and not overthink. Yeah.
Awesome, Rachel. Thanks a lot for taking the time and sharing your journey with us. I personally learned a lot from this, and this is some motivation or some insights that I also needed to work on my YouTube channel. So thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, I think just don't overthink. It's also advice for myself. Then just get your first content or your first side project out in the world and let the world tell you if this is what they need.
Yeah, think less and create more, how Rachel does it.
Thanks for having me.